If you go back to, you mentioned 92, 93, when you came up to the majors and the Blue Jays were winning those back-to-back World Series, you knew what the lineup was every day. Every single day, we knew exactly what the lineup was going to be. You knew the order of the lineup. You knew who was going to play where. Everybody played every day. There was no switching of players around. And okay, that might have been the nature of that team. But nonetheless, things have changed in baseball today. More players play. Lineups change regularly, not just batting orders, but who's playing. Like who's in center field today, who's in right field today, who's at first base or second base. And it changes almost on a daily basis. You have to look to find out who's doing what. What does that do for a player? What would that kind of thing do for you? Take us through that scenario. Does it matter when you come to the ballpark that you know, okay, I'm going to hit third and I'm going to do this and blah, 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 blah? Does it matter or not?
Well, if you're one of the regulars and when you're one of the studs that's going to be penciled in there every day, it's, you know what you're doing. But when you're Kevin Biggio, when you're Jackie Bradley Jr., Whit Merrifield, Santiago Espinal, or in my case, Joe Siddall, like you don't know if you're in there or when you're going in there. So for those guys, the game has become now where it's their strength to be able to play once every 3 days. It's their strength to be able to come in the sixth inning for defense. It's their strength to be able to play more than one position. I think that's where the game has changed the most. You have and even the Blue Jays, they have their guys. Now, let's say the catching position, for example, they're going back and forth with Kirk and Jansen. But basically, Teoscar and Springer and Gurriel and Bo and Vladdy and Chapman, those guys are in there every day. Now, I think where the game has changed, and I mentioned Springer, and we talk about all this rest now and the workload management. And I know he's got this elbow thing going on, but let's just say in general, you've got a star center fielder that you've signed for $150 million. And let's say George doesn't have a bad elbow now, or he's fine. Well, they're still probably going to watch him because he's 30 plus years old. So you want to make sure they're watching these guys' bodies. They want to make sure they DH George this day so that he can go back in center field that day. Well, I think there's more of that going on. You know, Marquise Grissom was in center field every day. Walker was in right field every day when I was with the Expos. But now you've got all that, and then Vladdy's got to have a day off his feet because he's going to DH this day, so Cavan will go play first base. So now Biggio's got to learn how to play first base, but then Biggio might be at second base one day. So those role players have to be ready to play multiple positions because of that. The game has changed in that regard for sure, in terms of the physical, you know, the science behind it all, the performance is that they're watching guys. And I can't even tell you the way that they're measuring strength and when they need rest, but it's all kind of calculated. So much so that there's scheduled days. Like I don't know exactly, but I bet that they've got the next at least 1 week, maybe more, mapped out, not of lineups, but of rest. I bet they can tell you right now when George is going to be in center field, and then when he's not going to be in center field, when he's DHing, or when Vladdy's going to DH and Biggio will be back. Like, I think this stuff is mapped out, whether it's a week or 10 days, whatever. But the fact that it's mapped out as opposed to going day to day. Now, I don't think you had as many of these role type players back in the years that you were mentioning when I was there, because I think most of the guys at the end of the roster would just get a spot start here or there, or they might go in. I was a perfect example. I would just go in for defense. I'd get the odd start, but mostly I'd go in for defense because Darren Fletcher would get on late in the game and he can't run, so they'd have to pinch run for him. So I'd go in to catch. But yeah, you're seeing these guys now. There's just more of it, and I think there's so much emphasis now, Bob, on playing multiple positions and utility players. And the only issue I have with that is, what good is it if you're okay at four positions as opposed to being an everyday second baseman? And, you know, Santiago Espinal is a good example. Great glove. And he was an all-star, really hit well in the first part of the season. And I think we would all agree that he might not be all-star caliber now. He's a nice second. He's got a great glove, can play short any day. But obviously, hitting-wise, he's going to be probably an average major league hitter, right? He's not going to be a 310 hitter or anything. But he's still valuable because now even when the bat goes silent, he's not playing. But you know you can put him in there any day, and any day you put him in the lineup, he's going to give you great defense. Biggio, same thing. You can put him at second one day, you can put him at first one day. Is he going to be a gold glover at either position? No. Is he going to give you a pretty good at bat? Yeah, he's not a big masher, but he gives you a good at bat. So the number of these role players has increased dramatically because I think it's because of analytics. They're looking for platoon matchups. I think it's the workload management type stuff. So that part of the game has certainly changed greatly.